All right, let's play a little game. Imagine you're the CEO of a huge global company. You're just trying to do your job, sell your products, keep people employed, and then one day you get two phone calls from two of the most powerful governments in the world, and they give you two completely opposite orders. What do?
So first, Washington calls. The message is simple. Don't you dare do X. If you do, you're going to jail. Okay, pretty clear, right? High stakes. You tell your team, all right, everyone, we are not doing X. But then, the phone rings again.
And this time, it's Brussels. They're telling you that you must do X. And if you don't, well, they're just going to hit you with a fine that could literally bankrupt your entire company. So now you're totally trapped. You get punished no matter what you choose.
This impossible no-win situation, well, it actually has a name. It's what keeps international lawyers up at night, and it's called a jurisdictional deadlock. And yeah, it's pretty much a corporate worst nightmare. It's basically a legal tug-of-war between giants, and you're the rope. And here's the thing, in 2026, this isn't some theory you read about in a dusty old textbook. For any company that operates across borders, this is the new, very stressful, daily reality. So what happens when one country thinks another country's laws are reaching too far? Well, they throw a legal counterpunch. It's called a blocking statute. It is, and I'm not kidding, one country passing a law that literally says it is illegal for you to follow their law. It's about as direct as a conflict gets. And this is a perfect real-world example. The US has tough sanctions on places like Cuba and Iran. But the EU's blocking regulation makes it illegal for an EU company to go along with those American sanctions. So if you're the CEO, you're stuck. You literally have to pick which superpower you're going to make angry. There is no right answer. All this legal chaos has led to this bizarre surge in something called authorization requests. You have companies now that have to formally go to the European Union and beg for special permission to follow US law, just so they don't get kicked out of the American market. It's wild. But nowhere, and I mean nowhere, is this fight more intense than in the digital world. We are now heading straight for what you might call a data embargo, a massive battle for the ones and zeros that make our modern world work. The main event, happening in early 2026, is a huge court case called Schrems III. Why 3? Because the last two data-sharing deals between the US and EU already got thrown out. The EU side is simple. US government surveillance is just too broad. They don't want their citizens' data going there. The US says, hey, we set up this new special court to handle it. It's fine. And this, right here, is the multi-trillion-dollar question. What happens if the court in Europe sides with the privacy folks and says, nope, not good enough, and tears up this data agreement for a third time? What happens then? Two words that could literally change the internet forever. A data embargo. The result would be absolutely cataclysmic for the internet as we know it. We could see huge American tech companies being legally blocked from moving any European user data onto their servers back in the States. We're talking about splitting the internet in two, right down the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so at this point, you're probably asking a very logical question. Wait a minute, aren't there international courts for this? Can't some neutral judge in a robe just step in and sort this all out? Well, if only it were that simple. See, international courts have what's known as the consent problem. They only really have power if the countries involved agree to listen. And as we've seen again and again in 2026 with crises in places like Ukraine and Iran, if a powerful country doesn't like a ruling, they often just ignore it. There's no global police to come and enforce it. So how do these messes actually get cleaned up? Usually it's through messy, behind-the-scenes deals. Sometimes it's a process called international arbitration, but more often it's something we can call the big trade-off. It's a quiet, diplomatic handshake where, say, country A agrees to ignore a trade violation if country B promises to look the other way on an environmental issue. It's not pretty, but that's how the sausage gets made. Which brings us to the most important question in all of this. With all these countries creating these legal minefields and no real referee to call foul, who actually ends up paying the price for all this conflict? And this is really the heart of it all. It's not the governments that suffer the most, it's the companies, their employees, and just regular people. Us, the users of the internet, the customers who are caught in the crossfire. We're the ones who pay the price in legal fees and lost opportunities, and in a world that's just more complicated and divided. So, the next time you see a headline about some big international legal battle, remember, it is so much more than that. It's a sign of a much deeper fight. And it's always worth asking yourself, when the laws themselves go to war, who's the one that really loses?